This week's headlines are as follows. Pregnancy test confusion. Patient makes it through overdose. Doctor's relationship looks set to be breaking down. And restaurant owner disappears. Hello, this is Coastal News, an unofficial home and away podcast where we dissect the latest week's episodes and discuss the happenings and residents of our favourite fictional town, Summer Bay. The time between these episodes seems to go a lot quicker now. Welcome back, episode 3 of Coastal News Podcast. And this week we started off with this confusion over a pregnancy test at the Paretta household, as Ryder sort of found this pregnancy test in the bathroom cupboard or cabinet or whatever it was, and assumes wrongly that he's got Chloe into a bit of a situation. This means we're assuming now that Ryder and Chloe are having an adult relationship. I know they're not as young as I sometimes think, but their relationships had a sort of element of innocence to it, really, in the story. Or is that just me? So I just never crossed my mind that they might actually be sleeping together, let alone to an extent where there's a chance she could have got pregnant from it. Can you imagine, Alf, if Ryder got some poor girl knocked up? I can only flaming imagine. But obviously it was Mia's. We know all about that story there with Mia and Ari trying for a baby again, and it was fairly obvious from the get-go. I hadn't actually realised that Chloe wouldn't actually know. I think that was another wrong assumption, but from me at that point, I just assumed that they knew, and it's only this week when this all happened that I thought, oh no, yeah, there hasn't been a scene between them all, and I think it's because Tane knows, so I just assumed that the household knew. So that was a bit of an interesting thing, and obviously Chloe's reaction, like, oh, I don't want to go through this again. How can you put us through it all again? Was a little bit. Well, to be expected, really. You don't realise these kind of things where, a baby dies or a loss of a baby affects not just you, but like others around you. The whole family is affected. So that was interesting to find that out. And also we learned a little bit more about sort of Mari and Ari's past, because we know they've got this backstory. But I must admit, I am struggling to warm to this. They've got this really sort of fleshed out story, but we don't really know too much. And this week we found out that their baby was called Cody. He was born premature, and that's why he died. So we are finding bits as we go, but I don't know. I feel like they've got this good story. I think, is it because Ari basically just ditched Mac, and now I'm supposed to believe that he's got this big thing with Mia and all this history, and is it because that happened so quick? Because it's like, in Ari's eyes, Mac didn't exist. Mac didn't have that miscarriage, and I don't know. That just seems to be all, all forgotten. Ari and Mia are just, are so happy every time we see them, and Mac obviously is such the opposite. So I don't know what to think about it all, to be honest with you. I'm sure others feel the same, and I'm sure some don't. Let me know. But yeah, that was them this week, and I think hopefully we find out a little bit more about baby Cody and sort of more about what they've been through in a more meaningful way as we go forward. Now, obviously, we ended last week with Justin being rushed to hospital, having taken these drugs he bought on the internet, and he'd overdosed on them. There was probably loads of horrible, God knows what in them. So thankfully, we sort of picked that up at the beginning of the week, and Justin has made it through. And honestly, the actress who plays Tori here, was absolutely sublime, in my opinion, this week. Tori, and I think Tori's reaction was completely justified. She was spitting fire, wasn't she? Not just at Justin, actually, but at Christian as well. She had this sort of double thing going on at the hospital where she's got this thing going on with Christian and Rachel on one side, and then she's got her brother, who's just narrowly escaped death, really, on the other side. And she's absolutely climbing the walls, and I cannot blame her at all. Her outbursts to Justin and her anger, towards him came from a place of worry and panic. I think she even said herself, I cannot believe this is happening again after Brody. She's already lost Mason. These guys have been through the ringer, and that's not even touching on the whole parents dying, witness protection stuff. So, you can completely, I believe, understand why Tori is so angry at Justin. And actually, Lee was sort of there at the hospital, and she was sort of like, dead softy, with Justin, come on, listen to your sister, that kind of thing, and I thought it almost makes her look really bad, like she's almost been aiding all this in some way, because she didn't. We know Leah was upset, but I mean, Leah didn't. She said herself later on, she didn't really understand to what extent this was all going on. She knew there was a problem, but didn't really know to what extent. But Tori's reaction sort of eclipsed it all, and I think Leah just sort of looked like she stood there like she was almost too soft with Justin, and in some way she's to blame, and I'm sure she might even blame herself at some point for not seeing the signs, etc., etc. But yeah, Justin's behaviour has been incredibly difficult to deal with. So I completely don't blame Leah in any way, but it just was a bit interesting how Tori just sort of took over the situation, proper laid into Justin and told him how it's going to be from now on, and Leah just looked like she'd sort of been part of the problem. I don't know if that was just me, but yeah. And later in the week, then we got Justin released, and Leah's got to sort of manage his medication. And there was a really that scene at the house in the middle of the night, and she finds him sort of turning the house over looking for these medication. I thought it was a really hard scene to watch, actually. And he sort of it all went a bit sinister, I thought, when he sort of was trying to check if they were in a pocket or not, on Leah in her pockets and things. All went a bit dangerous very quickly. And I was a bit like, ooh, this is a bit uncomfortable, and Leah had to lock herself in the bathroom to stop him coming for her for these tablets. I was just all a bit, didn't feel great at that. Yeah, this is going to be really difficult for Leah. I think was it Alf that mentioned to the diner girls, Leah's going to need some friends around it. Definitely, she's going to need a lot of support. Also, love how Ziggy just, as soon as she found out what was going on, she knows the truth. She went straight round to the Morgan's house and just took her job back, no questions asked. And finally, it just unfolded. In the Ziggy world, everything is restored. She's back at the garage. Can't wait to see her back in action. And that is the Ziggy we know and love, isn't it? There we go. Now, sticking with the Morgans, obviously, like as I was saying, like Tori had this sort of two-sided thing going on at the hospital with Justin and all that worry and panic, and then she had Christian spending the night asleep in the hospital chair with Rachel, making her jealous, and she even says that actually to Maz in a bit of a scene later on where she's confiding in Maz a bit about how she feels. She says, I'm just sick with jealousy. I don't understand what's going on. And I keep saying every week on every episode, I keep banging on about this. He's not giving her an explanation, so no wonder she doesn't know what's going on. And I don't understand it either, girl. So Tori, completely get you. But you can see the situation's become a bit untenable, and you can't blame Tori for feeling like he's just off in a different direction. He's not the bloke that she sort of, got the hots for just a few months ago. But thankfully, and luckily Maz was around all the time to just keep taking baby Grace so they could have the talks so that they can try and work out what they're going to do with the relationship. And bizarrely, Christian announced he was going to move out, which was just heartbreaking for Tori, to be honest. But actually was only going to move out for a few days, which I just thought was really odd, because then it was like, so are you moving out, or are you just going to go and stay in the motel for a couple of nights? I wouldn't call that moving out personally. I'd just call that you taking a breather. So he's gone. He's left the house, and I just don't get why he's behaving like this. Why he doesn't see it from somebody else's point of view. I feel like it's become a little bit self-centered. Yeah, okay, you're looking at things a bit differently, and you've got this different take on stuff now from your experience in the hospital with Lewis, but how does that mean that you're not able to have a discussion and see things from somebody else's point of view still? You're still a human. You still need some decency about you. Just, I don't know. If he keeps going, he's gonna lose her. And at this point, I would rather her just show him the door. At this point, honestly, I'm over it. And I wouldn't blame her at all. Just want to take this quick moment just to remind you that this podcast will be airing new episodes weekly. Please follow or subscribe or whatever it is you need to do on wherever you're listening to this podcast from. Just help you get notified of new episodes in the future, and then you can keep up to date with my review of the latest episodes of Home and Away that week. And it'd just be great if you could share with other like-minded folk as well who enjoy watching the show. Now, cracks starting to show with Bella and Nick's relationship this week as we pick up this storyline again, as you know, one of my favourites. Nat. This sort of obsession with growing Nick's social media is sort of consumed the latter half of the week's episodes, but here we go. We'll cover it in case some of you are enjoying it. If not, I'll give you my spin on it. So obviously Sienna organises this ridiculous influencer party, at the back garden with the pool, and they could have got somewhere much more flash down in the city. I just thought it was really, really strange. And that pool looks like it needs a retile. Do you know what I mean? Like it's seen better days. But there was this incident between Chloe and Bella where Bella was like, oh, I'm supposed to be doing my thing for this exhibition with Emmett, and Nick is insisting that I go to this silly party, and Chloe sort of says, wind your neck in, support him. His thing is today, yours is in a few weeks, shut up. And I just thought, Chloe, who are you? Who is she? To speak to Bella like that, it got absolutely sweet FA to do with you, darling. So I really, really didn't sit right with me that. And actually, a little bit of Ryder there afterwards sort of saying, Nick has changed, he does seem to be very image obsessed. Where I felt like, well, go on, Ryder, just tell her she was out of order, but I don't think he would. But that was sort of his subtle way of saying, I think Bella might be right, but there we go. I do miss Ryder, since Ryder's sort of been dating Chloe, I do miss his friendship with Bella. We've not had enough of that, go for a game of pool, guys, show us a bit of that, like the old days. And what is this whole thing with Allegra doing the whole cheek kiss thing with Nick? Is Sienna instructing all this to happen? Because Sienna's got this weird sort of I was going to say obsession again, but I don't think it is. She's got this weird, like, she wants to sabotage everything for Nick and Bella's relationship, but there's no motive to it, really. Like, what would she gain out of it, really? As long as he's turning up and posing and making money, what does it matter? What does it matter who he's dating and who he's with? I just don't get it. And she goes even further. Like, later on in the party, we see her eavesdropping through, round the corner or behind the window or something. And then she deliberately interrupts Bella and Nick and then whisks him off somewhere. None of this is going to end well at all. And I was just sat there thinking, where does she get off doing this? Do you know what I mean? And why is Nick not putting his foot down more? I think if Gemma was here, she would. I've said this before, but she would have had none of it. It's absolutely ridiculous. But there we go. It's not going to end well, and I think Bella's patience, what little patience she does have, is wearing thin fast, Now, award for best party guest this week goes to Mackenzie. Absolutely. Absolutely love her, even when she's just being so tragic. And I think I was discussing this online with a couple of people during the week as the episode was airing. But, the actress is fantastic. And I think her just spiralling to rock bottom, as sad as it is, because she's in this situation through something sad that's happened to her, really, really sad, and I'm sure a lot of people can relate to that. But it's a real pleasure to watch because she's got such sass, the character, right? And I just, she just rocks up at the party, not a care in the world. And obviously Emma's like, oh, he's been warned off by Dean earlier on, just stay away from her. So he's not touching her with a barge pole anymore. So that was that over, even though I was looking forward to seeing where that went last week. So that seems to be all fizzled out now. But she's just all over him. She's making a right fool of herself at his party. All these young, hip model kids, fashionistas, are all just like, oh God, look at this old lady, all like making a show of herself. And obviously, such hilarious one-liners, especially to Sienna. This bitchy sort of catty fight, and she's like, well, go and fetch me a drink then. Absolute personal highlight of the week, if I'm being honest. I'm here, I'm living for it. Obviously, fast forward to the next episode, a little bit of a sort of a flip with that, in that Mac sees that video of herself online, and then there's this. It's like holding a mirror up to herself, right? That's the moment. That's the breakthrough moment where the self-realization, and she knows what she's being like, and it sort of led to this absolutely gorgeous scene between Mac and Dean, where. She almost apologises for the way she's been, and there's a glimmer of sort of them not butting heads anymore. Really, really nice scene, and Dean thinks that they're getting somewhere and they can start to move on from this period in Mac's life. But of course, the next morning, everything is flummoxed. She's disappeared. Everything's gone. Her phone is left on the couch. Where is she? Has she taken loads of clothes? We don't know. Is she coming back? Has she just nipped down to Yabby Creek for some groceries? Who knows? But it looks like this is going to be something really quite big. I hope she's okay. Maybe Dean might have to call on some of the old river boys, try and help find her, track her down. Let's see what happens, eh? But yeah, hopefully Mac's nice and safe. Okay, that's everything for this third episode of Coastal News, an unofficial Home and Away podcast. Thanks for listening. Appreciate your patience. If you want to sort of join in the conversation and discussion with me between episodes, you can't wait till next Sunday, then we're on Twitter at Coastal News Pod, or on the hashtag Home and Away. And please share the podcast to anybody you know who is a fan of the show. I really appreciate it. Don't forget to listen follow and subscribe on wherever you get your podcasts from. I'll speak to you next week. Enjoy. Bye-bye.